Very nice. Your annual pilgrimage to the Abbey. Okay. So we've been following in the Buddha's footsteps and studying the book with the same title. And we are on page 31. Yeah. Just about 2/3 of the way down. And so we'll take up from there and continue on. Okay, this section that we're on right now is called the final and provisional refuges. And so last week I went through like the three jewels, the three objects of refuge, how there's some overlap, but how they're different. Yeah. And so this will continue on from that. And then we have some charts that kind of go into it and explain it. Okay, so let's imagine the refuge field in the space in front of us. And think of their qualities according to what we have learned so far. And based on learning the qualities of the three jewels, two things come up. One is we gain confidence that we too can become the three jewels. In other words, that awakening is possible. Yeah, if we create the causes, or when we create the causes. And the second thing that comes up is a sense of conviction in the ability of the three jewels, the three objects of refuge, to guide us to awakening. So when we're studying all these qualities from the classical texts, it's not just intellectual information, but something that should really inform our practice and inspire our hearts. And then all sentient beings are around us, and we are leading them in turning to the three jewels for refuge and guidance.
To the teacher and now transcendent destroyer, the one nor the world's supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the Buddha and now transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, Shakyamuni, I prostrate, make offerings for refuge. And I bow, with pure bodies formed supremely fine, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the three worlds, winner the best, supreme guide to you are immaculate, the three worlds are not incomparable, wise one to you an ocean, Tathagata I bow, through purity, freeing from attachment, through virtue, freeing from the lower realms. Unique, supreme, ultimate reality, to the Dharma that is peace I bow. Having freed themselves, showing the path to freedom too, well established in the trainings. The holy field endowed with good qualities, to the Sangha I bow. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind completely, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop into a bubble. A dream, a flash of lightning and clouds, decondition things as such. Through this merit may sentient beings attain the state of all seeing, subdue the four faults, and be delivered from the ocean of cyclic existence, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. This ground anointed with perfume, flowers strewn Mount Meru, for land, sun, and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered to you. May all beings enjoy this pure land. Venerable holy gurus, in the space of your truth body, from billowing clouds of your wisdom and love, let fall the rain of the profound and extensive Dharma, in whatever form is suitable for subduing sentient beings. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by to benefit all sentient beings. We should
that nothing can go in. In other words, we're not even paying attention during the teachings. Our minds are wandering to this and wandering to that, thinking of all the other things we want to do, could be doing, should be doing, want to do after this is over. So we don't, the teaching doesn't even go in. So let's make a determination not to have that kind of mind as we listen. The second one is a pot that leaks. So you're here in the teachings, you hear the teachings, and then you can't remember them afterwards. And it's not because of dementia, it's because you didn't really take them to heart. And afterwards you don't review what you learned and think about what you learned. So it's in one ear and out the other. So let's avoid that kind of obscuration. And then the third kind of pot is one that's full of garbage. So you might pour something, some delicious nectar into it, but the garbage just pollutes everything. So that's like listening to teachings with a mind that is doesn't have a good motivation and is looking to pick faults. A mind that just wants to, that's cynical, that doesn't want to agree, that says, prove it to me, I don't believe you, what do you know? So a mind that's very full, but of all sorts of wrong views. So let's take a minute or two and check the mind and make sure that's, that we don't have any of those three kinds of minds. And instead, let's cultivate in the mind the idea or the aspiration to become the three jewels ourselves. And not just the aspiration, but a measure of committing to exert the energy to do that. And why do we do it? It's not just for our own liberation, but seeing that there's absolutely no difference between ourselves and others in terms of wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. So when we can really see that, then we see that practicing the path with the motivation simply for our own benefit doesn't really make much sense. And so that clears the way to have compassion for others. So just as we wish ourselves to be free from samsara, to wish others to be free, and then from that generating bodhicitta. Okay, so page 31. So the chart below clarifies the final and provisional objects of refuge for the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. When we compare the ultimate and conventional refuges to the definitions of the three jewels, okay, we see that the Dharma jewel in the continuum of a Buddha is the final refuge, whereas the Dharma jewel in the continuums of Arya learners of all vehicles is the provisional refuge. So the Dharma jewel, the true paths and true cessations. Yeah, so it depends whose continuum they're in, whether they are a final or provisional refuge. All these true paths and true cessations in the continuums of both Arya learners, okay, so people on paths of refuge and meditation. Okay, whereas what? And path of meditation. Oh, I have refuge on the mind. Okay. So all these true paths and true cessations in the continuums of both Arya learners as well as Buddhas are the actual Dharma jewel that possess any of the 8 excellent qualities, such as being inconceivable and so forth. But not all of them qualify as the final refuge because, well, actually, if they're in the mind stream of an Arya learner, none of them are the final refuge. It's only true paths and true cessations in the continuum of an Arya Buddha that are the final refuge, final Dharma jewel, final Dharma object of refuge. Okay, so the Sangha jewel includes the Buddhas, Arhats, and Arya learners of all 3 vehicles. Among these, only the Buddhas qualify as a final refuge, not any of the others. Because remember, when we're talking about final refuge, we're pointing to the complete culmination of the path, the final goal of the path. Okay, the Arya learners, as beings who possess any of the 8 excellent qualities of knowledge and liberation, are included in the Sangha jewel, but they are conventional objects of refuge. Although ordinary monastics in a monastic community composed of ordinary beings are called Sangha, they are symbolic of the Sangha jewel and are neither the final nor the provisional refuge. Okay, so if you look at the chart above, that's really going into describing the objects of refuge. What is a final object? What is a provisional object? Okay, shall we go through those? Maybe I should ask you, test you. Okay, so the Buddha, what's the final object of refuge for the Buddha? Yeah, the 4 kayas. What's the final object of refuge for the Dharma? The true cessations and true paths in the continuum of a Buddha. Okay, and what are the final Sangha, object of refuge? Yeah, the Arya Buddhas. Okay, so now provisional, what's the provisional Buddha object of refuge? There isn't one, yeah, because everything about the Buddha is a final object. Okay, what is a provisional Dharma object of refuge? The true cessations and true paths in the continuum of Arya learners, okay? Or if we're talking about the Arhats, yeah, then you would say those who have the nirvana without remainder. Yeah, well, either with remainder or without remainder. And then the Sangha, provisional refuge. Yeah, the Arya learners. Okay, then what are the symbolic Dharma? The symbolic Buddha? Statues. Yeah, images. It could be paintings, statues, whatever. Okay, the symbolic Dharma. Yeah, it's the transmitted Dharma that is not in the Buddha's continuum, and the symbolic Sangha. Yeah, what's the symbolic Sangha? Okay, 4 or more fully ordained monks or nuns. Okay, that's the symbolic Sangha. So no symbolic, the Sangha does not include everybody who goes to a Dharma center, okay? And yeah, okay. Okay. So we had the Sangha jewel includes the Buddhas, Arhats, Arya learners of all 3 vehicles. Among these, only the Buddha qualifies as a final refuge, not any of the others. The Arya learners, as beings who possess any of the excellent qualities of knowledge and liberation, are included in the Sangha jewel, but they are conventional objects of refuge. Okay. And although ordinary monastics in a monastic community composed of ordinary beings are called the Sangha, they are the symbolic of the Sangha jewel and not the final or the provisional one. Okay, you had a question?
Yes, I just had a doubt about what would be the transmitted Dharma in the continuum of a Buddha. Is that the Buddha's speech?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because the Buddha has to have that Dharma in order to share it with others. Okay. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Okay, then the next chart reviews ultimate and conventional refuges. Okay, so I think we kind of did that. Yeah, the chart has the same material as above, but arranged differently, so it makes you think. Okay, and then the next chart, has a comparison of the 3 jewels, the actual and symbolic jewels, and the final and provisional refuges. Okay, so here we take something and we see which of all of those categories it is. Okay, so the Buddha jewel, the 2 truth bodies and the 2 form bodies, is it an actual jewel? Yes, okay. Is it a symbolic jewel? No. Is it a final object of refuge? Yes. Is it a provisional object of refuge? No. Okay. Then Buddha images, yeah, which are of all those categories, are they? Symbolic jewel, okay. Then the Dharma jewel. So this is the realized Dharma of true cessations and true paths. Is it an actual jewel? Why? Why? Well, when somebody asks you, is it this? You should think, does it fulfill the definition of that? Okay. So the Dharma jewel. I mean what were we talking about? The act. Yeah. So what makes the realized Dharma, true cessations, and true paths an actual jewel? Yeah, it has at least some of the 8 qualities. It fulfills the definition. Okay. Is the Dharma jewel the final object of refuge? Only if it's in the mind stream of a Buddha. Okay. Is it a provisional object of refuge? Yeah. Why? Yeah, so in the continuum of Arya learners. Okay. Then the Sangha jewel, I mean the Sangha, the Arya beings, is it an actual jewel? Arya beings? No, just, yes. Which jewel is it? It's the Sangha jewel, okay. Yeah. Is it a symbolic jewel? No, what's the symbolic jewel of the Sangha? For fully ordained monks and nuns, okay? Are Arya beings a final object of refuge? Arya Buddhas are. Okay, what about other Aryas? They're provisional. Okay. So you need to really think about what all these are. Yeah. And you can see in doing that how it really emphasizes the qualities of a Buddha and how those are completely distinct from learners. You know, a Buddha's qualities are quite special, and that's why, you know, the Buddha is a final object of refuge. So it also points out, yeah, it really emphasizes here the difference between regular Aryas and Buddhas. Yeah, and here the regular Aryas include, you know, when we say Arya learners, it includes arhats, you know, because here we're talking about learners on the Mahayana path. If you talk about learners on the fundamental vehicle paths, the Sravaka path or the solitary realizers, yeah, then those learners are what? Yeah, what would you call a yeah, provisional sangha. Okay, so the arhats, if you're talking just about the fundamental vehicles, yeah, they're on the path of no more learning. So they have reached the final goal of that vehicle, but they have not reached the final goal of the Mahayana and of what Buddha, you know, says is our potential. Okay? So as noted, it's important to take refuge in the three jewels every day. Why? I take it in so many times. Why do I have to do it every day? One of the refuge guidelines is take refuge when I wake up and when I go before I go to bed. It's just, I take refuge in Buddhist Dharma Sangha. Where's my tea? Where's my coffee? What do I have to do today? Yeah. Why is there the refuge nundra where you have to repeat all those lines?
Because when we repeat, we will remember the good quality of the three jewels, the compassion.
Yeah, wait, here, say it in the...
If we take refuge every day, we can remember the good quality of the three jewels, such as compassion, kindness, wisdom, something.
Yeah.
Many good quality.
Yeah, it helps
That
us.
we try to learn.
Yeah, we remember the good qualities, and then, that helps us generate bodhicitta because we want to attain those good qualities to be able to benefit sentient beings. What?
Plants the seeds to meet the Dharma again and again and again in the future.
Yeah, to plant seeds in our, to make a connection with the three jewels again and again and again and again. Yeah, because if we don't make a strong connection with them in this life, then there's a big chance that we won't encounter them in next lives. What's the result if we don't meet the three jewels in our next life? Yeah, we won't progress, and we may wind up at the Abbey as a marmot, where all the Sangha stands around and looks at you and says, I haven't seen one of these guys, for a long time. I saw one years ago. They talk all about when they last saw you, and, and they say, oh, Wani Peme Hong, yeah, but you're a marmot, and what do you understand? Okay, so we don't want to die, without having made a strong connection to the three jewels. Yeah. Or maybe you make a strong connection, but you don't keep very good ethical conduct. Yeah. So you're born as a cat, or a mouse or a vole, and you circumambulate the statue of the Buddha in the garden. Yeah, because you're attracted to the Dharma, that, there's some link there, but you're as a cat or a mouse or whatever running around. Yeah, we take the cats around, they circumambulate. Yeah. Yeah. Are we thinking about the three jewels when we go around the statue? Yeah. Or are we looking at the flower garden and thinking, yeah, there used to be really big peonies here and they changed it from last year. I wonder why. Yeah. Let's plant peonies again. Okay. So it's important to take refuge every day. So visualize Shakyamuni Buddha, his body made of golden light in the space in front of you. He's surrounded by your spiritual mentors, teachers of the lineage, Buddhas, meditation deities, bodhisattvas, arhats, Shravaka and solitary realizer, Aryas, Dakas and Dakinis, and transcendental Dharma protectors. So there's the whole family, everybody who is an object of, who is everyone or everything that is one of the three jewels is there, and visualized in the space before you. Okay, so to visualize all sentient beings surrounding you, with everyone facing the merit field. By the way, the merit field and the refuge field have the same people, the same things in it, but how it's arranged is different. Okay, with the refuge one, you have the Buddha as the center figure. In the merit field, what's your central figure? In the regular mental merit field for Lama Chopa, what's the center field? Lama, but not just Lama Tsongkhapa. Lama Tsongkhapa, at his heart, the Buddha, at the Buddha's heart, Dorji Chang, Vajradhara. Okay. Okay, so in the refuge, there's a difference in the central ones. And then also in the refuge visualization, you have the Buddha sit, it's a flat surface. The Buddha is on a throne in the center. Your teachers on the throne in front. On the throne to the Buddha's right are Maitreya and all the deities and so forth of the, no, not the deities, I'm sorry, the teachers of the the vast lineage on the Buddha's left, the teachers of the profound lineage, and the front was your own personal teachers. Okay, and then in the back, kind of Shantideva, and it's never real clear exactly who was on the back. I've heard different things. But the thing is that it's flat, with 5 thrones. Yeah. But with the merit field, it's on a tree. Yeah. And so and also on the refuge, you have the deities and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and so on. They're around in circles around those 5 thrones, okay? Yeah. On the refuge, on the merit field, Tsongkhapa's here, Lama, it's your teacher, Tsongkhapa, Buddha, Dorji Chang is the center, and then the teachers are all up in space, arranged in I won't go into that long way, but arranged up in space. And then on the tree, below Tsongkhapa, then you have the 4 classes of highest yoga tantra, the 4 classes of tantric deities. Then you have the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, the solitary realizers, arhats, the Shravaka arhats, the Dakas and Dakinis, and the transcendental Dharma protectors. Okay, and they're all on the tree, so they're all sitting in layers. Okay, so there's some similarities, but the arrangement is different. Okay, and if thinking of so many figures, when it says visualize, you don't have to go into, okay, let's see, I got how many of the teachers? I'm missing a few. But when I concentrate on the teachers on that side, I can't think of the ones on this side. No, just, have a feeling of being in the presence of all these holy beings who have realizations, And if that's, if you want to make it really simple visualization, then you just visualize the Buddha and think that he's the embodiment of all 3 objects of refuge. Mm-hmm.
I thought that in the refuge field there were the Dharma texts too.
Yes, yeah. And the Dharma texts are also on the merit field. Yeah, so the Dharma texts are on the sides of all the teachers, lineage teachers and your own teachers who have taught those or written them. Yeah. And all the teachers are debating, and all the texts are vibrating with teaching the Dharma too. Okay, so it's not everybody sitting there just like that, they're active. Okay, visualize all sentient beings around you, with everybody facing the merit field. To overcome antipathy towards people you don't get along with or feel unsafe around, visualize them in front of you, between you and the Buddha. Okay, so all the people you don't like, that you don't want to be around, that you don't trust, that you think are big creeps, or whatever you want to call them, they're sitting in front of you, looking at the Buddha who is in front of them. So the point is, if we really want to become Buddhas, we cannot avoid dealing with sentient beings who we don't like or don't feel comfortable around. Yeah, that we have to still work to release any kind of antipathy and to have a kind heart towards them and want their liberation, want their enlightenment. So feeling that you are in the presence of the holy beings who are looking at you with complete acceptance and great compassion, take refuge. So this is important, okay? When all these holy beings are looking at you, they're not sitting like this. Who's this guy taking refuge in me? He doesn't take refuge. His mind is totally thinking about chocolate. No, you have to think of all these figures looking at you with acceptance. They're not judging you, yeah, and they have compassion. So you don't have to put on a show and pretend to be perfect when you're not perfect, because all these holy beings know you better than you know yourself. Okay, so you don't have to put on airs. You don't have to worry about, does the Buddha like me? Is the Buddha pleased with me? So people pleasers, be really careful here, and manipulators, I'm going to give the Buddha some nice things and the Buddha will like me. Forget it. It's just we have to be ourselves, and the Buddha sees it, and here I am. So it's not, here I am, Buddha, I'm your disciple. Aren't you fortunate to have me as a disciple? I'm a wonderful disciple. No, that's not how you approach it, because the Buddha sees all your negative karma from beginningless time. He knows all your faults, So you don't need to do some big trip to impress the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So instead, because we're kind of spiritually, emotionally, mentally naked, yeah, no fig leaves for an omniscient mind. Yeah. Okay. Then, we approach the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha humbly. We're not like all puffed up about what good disciples we are. We approach with humility. And that is really important, because when we have a mind that is humble, then we are receptive to learning. Yeah, if we approach our teachers and the three jewels with, here I am, yeah, then, our mind isn't really interested in the Dharma, or it's only interested in the Dharma in terms of how much we can milk it for a good reputation and offerings, and to get our teachers to give us gold stars, like in grammar school when you got gold stars. So that's not very worthwhile, is it? If you're really seeking to progress spiritually, who cares if you get gold stars or not? Okay, so then it has the common verse that we recite to take refuge, which we chanted at the beginning of the session. I won't chant it again. Then in Chinese Buddhism, the refuge verse that is often chanted to dedicate the merit at the conclusion of a meditation session, and this is one that we also chant. Okay, so this is interesting because each line you are taking refuge, and you are also generating an aspiration for sentient beings and dedicate your merit for sentient beings to attain this. So I take refuge in the Buddha. What do we want for sentient beings when we take refuge in the Buddha? May each and every sentient being understand the great way, the Mahayana, profoundly, and bring forth the Bodhi mind. So may everybody generate the vast part of the path. Okay. The second one, I take refuge in the Dharma. May each and every sentient being deeply enter the sutra treasury and have wisdom vast as the sea. Sutra's treasury, for the perfection of wisdom, sutras especially, plus all the other sutras, and so by entering the Dharma treasury and learning all these texts and their meaning, may sentient beings have wisdom vast as the sea. So that's aspirations and dedicating so that people can actualize, or all beings can actualize the profound part of the path. And then I take refuge in the Sangha. May each and every sentient being form together a great assembly, one and all in harmony. And to me, there, I think of the Buddha saying that he wanted the 4 assemblies of followers, the bhikshus and bhikshunis, and then lay male and female practitioners who have taken refuge and have the 5 precepts. And so, may all these disciples of the Buddha, practice together, form a great assembly, live together in harmony. Not avoid bickering and competition and so on. And you'll remember in the Posada that we recite every 2 weeks, it says that the harmony of the Sangha is the best condition for realizations, Okay, so now we've gone through the 3 jewels according to the Pali tradition, 3 jewels according to the Mahayana, now the 3 jewels according to the Vajra vehicle. Okay, so the actual meaning is His Holiness, the actual meaning of refuge. What does refuge really, really point to and depend on? He says, is found in highest Yoga Tantra with its description of how to actualize the 4 bodies of a Buddha. So this class of Tantra speaks of the fundamental innate mind of clear light, which is the subtlest consciousness of each and every sentient being. Subtlest consciousness. So when we die, it's the one that is manifest at the final moment of this life. And then we go into the bardo. So this innate clear light mind is beginningless and endless. It comes from our past lives to the present life and will continue on to Buddhahood. Okay, and remember, it is pure. It's pure in the sense that it's empty of inherent existence, and it's pure in the sense that the defilements are not part of its nature. Okay. So our coarse consciousnesses, the 5 sensory consciousnesses, and our coarse mental consciousness, that's the one that is chattering all the time, and the one that's also thinking about the teachings. When you hear teachings, is the one that's meditating. Okay, our coarse mental consciousness, beset by its profusion of thoughts. Okay, don't continue to awakening. Yeah. So as we're going through the death process, all those coarser consciousnesses, because they depend on the physical elements of the body, as the earth, water, fire, and air absorb, then the gross consciousnesses lose power. It's said that they dissolve as well. Okay, and so they do not go on to the next lifetime. So then you might say, oh, but my consciousness goes on to the next life. The gross mental consciousness does not. Right now, yeah, let's say you're going to be born as a god in the next life. Right now, we have the mental consciousness of a human being. When you're born as a god, then you have the mental consciousness of a god. When you're born as a dog, then you have the mental consciousness of a dog. Yeah, so all 5 aggregates are different when you take the next rebirth. It's not like you're taking these 4 mental aggregates out of one body, move them over and stick them in the next body. That's the idea of a soul. Yeah, when you think of a soul, an Atman, what does it do? It's something permanent. Yeah, it's something that goes unchanged from life to life, that is the essence of the person. So don't think of either your coarse consciousnesses or this fundamental innate mind of clear light as a soul or an Atman. Now you might say, but it's the fundamental innate mind of clear light sure sounds like a soul. It goes from one life to the next. Yeah, and it's always empty and it's always pure, so it's always the same. No, it's a consciousness. Okay, yeah, consciousnesses are conditioned phenomena, which means that they depend on causes and they will give rise to results. Yeah, so what we call the fundamental innate mind of clear light is a series of moments. It's actually a continuum, and it's a series of moments. So it's not some kind of permanent soul that is really you. Yeah. So you might say, but it's my fundamental innate mind of clear light. It's not your fundamental innate mind of clear light. Well, yeah, okay, so, yeah. Who is the me that is the owner or possessor of that clear light mind? Yeah, is there some kind of self that's tagging along with the clear light mind? That self that is like, well, I'm the self, and this is my clear, fundamental, innate, clear light mind. Yeah, and we both go together to the next life, because actually that mind is me. But if it was really me, how could it be my possession? Yeah, this is the difficulty with thinking that the mind is the person. Yeah. And it's tricky because the way we talk, the way we use speech, sometimes it's as if we think of the mind as a self. I'm seeing, I'm thinking. Okay, so the I is doing the same job as the consciousness does. So in that situation, we tend to think that the self is the consciousness. Yeah. But if that's so, then how could we, say my mind is full of rubbish today, or my mind is very peaceful today? Yeah, because when you say my, then the self and what the self possesses, we see as different. So you can see, when we just talk conventionally, we say these things and we understand each other. But if you really ask, what is the self that is possessing this? What is the self that we think is the conscious? So we can't find anything. Yeah. We can't find anything that we can say, this is the self. We find the aggregates, we find the body and mind. Yeah. Then we say, then my mind is one solid thing, Well, really, your mind is one solid thing? You have one mental state all day long? Yeah, and all night long? No, our mind's changing all moment by moment, isn't it? Okay, so if you think about all these things, it leads you into thinking about emptiness. Yeah. And it leads you into understanding why we say that things are merely designated. Yeah, independence on something. Okay. So when the fundamental innate mind of clear light is purified of all obscurations, it becomes the wisdom Dharmakaya, and its emptiness and true cessations are the nature Dharmakaya. Okay, so the Dharmakaya includes both something that is impermanent and something that's permanent. What's the permanent part of the Dharmakaya? The emptiness of the Buddha's mind and the cessations, the true cessations. Okay. What's the caused or impermanent part of the Buddha? Yeah, the wisdom Dharmakaya. So then we go, oh, but if the wisdom Dharmakaya is impermanent, then maybe it can lose all of its realizations and it can become something impure again. Yeah, because it's impermanent, it's changing every moment. So why can't all the realizations disappear and all the garbage come back again? Why not? What?
Garbage is not the nature of the mind, it's as that mind is. The garbage is not one nature with the nature of that mind. It is the garbage is adventitious.
Yeah, the garbage isn't one nature with that mind. Mm. So the garbage could not be one nature with the mind, but it could still be there. Yeah. The dirt is not one nature with the cloth, but the dirt can still cover it. Yeah?
The dirt is based on ignorance, and so the Buddha's not going to generate any ignorance.
Yeah. Okay. So when there's no cause in the Buddha's continuum to generate defilements again, because all the seeds and all the latencies of the defilement have been eliminated. Yeah. So you can't lose the realizations because there's no cause to make you lose your realizations. Okay, so the realizations continuum, on the continuum, and the defilements don't reappear because there's no cause for them to be there anymore. The mind has been totally purified of them. Okay, so it's bringing us back to cause and effect and thinking, what is the cause of something? If that cause exists, then it's possible for the result to exist. But if the cause doesn't exist, I can talk about a palm tree in the garden all I want. Yeah, and we're going to have palm trees like mad in the garden, and surrounding the Buddha hall, lots of palm trees. Is that going to happen? We can go buy palm trees and plant them. Yeah. Are we going to have palm trees? Yes? Okay, maybe sometime after, with a lot of climate change. But how about in the immediate few years? No, why not? Hmm? The climate is not suitable. Yeah, the temperature now is not suitable for them to grow. Yeah, so even we plant palm trees, they're going to die because they don't have the cooperative conditions. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the medium through which the wisdom Dharmakaya appears to sentient beings in order to benefit them is the enjoyment body that benefits Aryas in the Pure Land. Okay, and from the enjoyment body arise the emanation bodies that interact with ordinary sentient beings. So you remember in one of the previous volumes when His Holiness was talking about the why the three jewels exist. He established, and this is Nagarjuna's argument too, you establish that things are empty of inherent existence. Yeah, so the Buddha's mind is empty of inherent existence. Within that emptiness, yeah, the wisdom truth body exists. So that wisdom truth body is empty of inherent existence. Yeah, but it's one nature with that emptiness. Yeah, so within, you start out with thinking of emptiness, and within that emptiness, the wisdom truth body emerges. We say emerge, it doesn't mean that it's produced by emptiness. It just means it exists within emptiness. From the wisdom truth body, yeah, then what comes out of that, to benefit Aryas in the Pure Land, is the form bodies, or specifically the Sambhogakaya, the enjoyment body. And then when the Buddha needs to, connect with really ordinary, very coarse, dumb sentient beings, then appears as the emanation body, like Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay, so you kind of have how the four kayas, are related to each other. You attain all four at the same time. Yeah. Okay. So the substantial cause for these 4 bodies of a Buddha exists in us now. What is it? It's the fundamental innate mind of clear light and the subtlest wind that accompanies it, which by nature are empty of inherent existence. So both the fundamental innate mind of clear light is empty, and this subtlest wind is empty. Okay. When we go from one life to the next, everything dissolves into this subtlest wind and the subtlest consciousness, which are inseparable. They're one nature. They can never be separate. Okay. And those two together then, go into the bardo, and you start manifesting coarser states of mind from them. Okay. So when we're talking about the 4 bodies of the Buddha, the substantial cause, what is going to, what exists in us now that is going to become the wisdom truth body of the Buddha, it's going to be the fundamental innate mind of clear light. What exists within us right now that can become the form bodies of the Buddha, the subtlest wind that is one nature with the fundamental innate mind of clear light. Mm-hmm.
So then with this fundamental innate mind of clear light, that although it is empty, it also carries the latencies of all our seeds and
for us,
everything that goes
beings.
to the next life.
Yeah, it's empty on the ultimate level. On the conventional level, it functions, and in ordinary beings, it carries the latencies and the seeds of karma, latencies of karma. Okay, so the substantial cause for these 4 bodies of a Buddha exist in us now. It is the fundamental innate mind of clear light and the subtlest wind that accompanies it, which by nature are empty of inherent existence. Thus, the potential for full awakening exists in us now. This is something quite special. Yeah, when you think about this, it's showing us why some of the unique qualities of Tantra. So the Sutrayana explanation of the substantial causes and conditions of the truth bodies and the form bodies is incomplete. It does not fully explain how the 2 collections of merit and wisdom become the cause for the body and mind of a Buddha. In other words, in the Sutrayana, it's like, okay, you have the 2 collections and then somehow you become a Buddha. But what is the substantial cause that became, the Buddha's, the Dharmakaya and the Rupakaya, the form body, the truth body and the form? What became the Sutrayana doesn't go into that. Okay, Tantrayana does, specifically highest yoga tantra. So highest yoga tantra, on the other hand, contains the full explanation of this process. However, we cannot jump into the practice of highest yoga tantra immediately. We must create a firm foundation by practicing the Sutrayana. Okay, so this is something quite special about Tantra. And when you begin to learn the paths and stages of Tantra, and what's in volume 10 of the Library of Wisdom and Compassion, it really gives you an idea of exactly how you progress from being kind of this confused being, how the mind is purified and can actually become the two bodies of the Buddha. And I know for me, when I first heard the text on the paths and stages of Tantra from Sencham Serkim Rinpoche, it completely changed my practice. It was like, oh, now I get it, how it can happen. Yeah. So, yeah. So we have to start out with a conceptual understanding of Tantra. Yeah. We don't just jump in and, you need to have an empowerment. You need to, you take the ethical restraints and the various kind of commitments. You have to keep those, then you have to learn everything, then, you start practicing the generation stage, which has many different levels, then you go into the completion stage, which has many different levels. So, yeah, it's, people nowadays think of Tantra as like, oh, all these deities, the ones that are having sex and the ones that are ferocious, and like, wow. And I just visualize myself like that, and I'm going to become like that. Just that's all I have to do. Wrong. Yeah. But it's quite profound. Yeah, and we just get all excited about, the superficial things. Yeah. Oh, there's pujas, and you have bells and dorjes and drums and cymbals and long horns and brocade and hats and big thrones. Yeah, and then you have rinpoches and lamas and abbots, and who are these guys? I don't know, but they all must be Buddhas already because we're in Shangri-La. Okay. Okay, so in Vajrayana, we're coming back to the three jewels in Vajrayana. In Vajrayana, the Buddha jewel includes all Buddhas throughout the universe, countless Buddhas, and all the awakened meditational deities such as Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, Vajrapani, Yamantaka, Chakrasamvara, Gayasamaja, and so on. Okay, so, all the meditation deities are seen as Buddhas, as fully awakened beings. What's interesting in Chinese Buddhism, you have the Buddha, but when you talk about Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, Vajrapani, then they are bodhisattvas. They're seen as bodhisattvas, not as fully awakened Buddhas, like in the Tibetan tradition. Okay, the Dharma jewel in Vajrayana includes the true cessations and true paths in the mind stream of all Aryas. Here the emphasis is on the true path being the fundamental innate mind of clear light that has been transformed into the union of bliss and emptiness that at that stage of actual clear light. So it isn't even, what the true paths are considered in Sutrayana. Yeah, because in Sutrayana it doesn't talk about, the different levels of mind. But here the true path has to be the fundamental innate mind of clear light. Yeah, not in ordinary beings, but it's been transformed into the union of bliss and emptiness through practicing the Sutrayana, then the generation stage, then the completion stage, and within the completion stage at the level called actual clear light. Okay. The Sangha jewel includes all Arya Bodhisattvas, supramundane heroes, dakas, and heroines, dakinis, supramundane dharma protectors such as Pelden Lamo, as well as Arya Shravakas. So all those are considered jewels from the Vajrayana perspective. Supramundane dakas and dakinis are highly realized practitioners on the tantric path who assist practitioners by overcoming obstacles and gathering necessary conditions for their practice. Supramundane dharma protectors are Arya Bodhisattvas who appear in fierce forms in order to protect the dharma. Worldly dharma protectors are not included in the three jewels because they are samsaric beings. Okay, so when you visualize the merit field, you know, all the realized beings, everybody on the merit field is an Arya, but all you see a bunch of like deities and things below, those are worldly dharma protectors. So they, those are like the ones that Guru Rinpoche tamed and made them promise to protect the Dharma. They're worldly beings, but you know, they made pledges and vows to protect the Dharma. Okay. So tantric practitioners also take refuge in the Guru. It is important to understand this properly in order to avoid confusion. The Guru is not a fourth object of refuge. So people will ask you about this a lot. Oh, Buddha, all the other Buddhas have 3 objects of refuge. It seems like in Vajrayana, you guys have 4, you know? And your guru is an object of refuge, but your guru is, you know, this person. How is it the object of refuge? Okay, so the guru is not a fourth object of refuge. And here we have to really understand what we mean by guru when we take refuge in the guru. Okay, so rather the ultimate guru is the 4 Buddha bodies, with the emphasis being on the omniscient mind of bliss and wisdom. Okay, so that's the Buddha's mind. That's the ultimate guru that we take refuge in. Okay, so the ultimate guru encapsulates all 3 refuges. So, you know, this is how we're taught to think in Vajrayana. Okay, not in Sutrayana, but in Vajrayana. Okay, the ultimate guru's body is the Sangha, the ultimate guru's speech is the Dharma, and the ultimate guru's mind are the Buddhas, you know, the Dharmakaya. Okay, the ultimate guru is not a human being, but the omniscient minds of all Buddhas. That's what it is. Okay, so it is the union of bliss and emptiness that, motivated by great compassion, is able to effortlessly and spontaneously manifest in a variety of forms to benefit sentient beings who are receptive to their influence. The ultimate guru is our actual object of refuge. Okay, it's the final object of refuge. It's the you know, by ultimate guru, we're talking about the Arya Buddha. Conventional gurus are the spiritual masters who bestow tantric initiations or empowerments, teachings, and instructions. We view them as embodiments of the ultimate guru, which helps make our refuge objects appear more immediate and accessible. Okay, so our tantric masters who give the empowerments, the jainangs, the explanations, the heart, the pith instructions, and so on, those are seen as the embodiment of the ultimate guru. Okay, and why? Because if we look at our spiritual mentors and say, oh, that person is a Buddha, then we listen more closely. If we look at our spiritual mentors and say, oh, well, they grew up with Mickey Mouse like I did, they don't know anything. Yeah, they burp, they fart, they make mistakes, they slur their speech, they forget things, so, why should I listen to them teach the Dharma? Yeah, so if we have that kind of attitude, then anything we hear in teachings, we're gonna step back and go, yeah, the person who's saying this doesn't know what they're talking about. They don't have any qualities. Okay, they're just some ordinary being. So if we see our teachers like that, then it inhibits our really taking the teachings seriously and thinking about them and having confidence in them. Okay, so that's why, this is really emphasized, yeah. It's possible to do that in Sutrayana practice too, but it's important especially to do it in Vajrayana, in Tantrayana, because as His Holiness says, in Tantrayana, you train to see the world as the mandala and all the beings in it as, meditation deities and as Buddhas. So what are you going to do? You're going to think of all the people at Walmart as a Buddha, but you're not going to think of your own teacher as a Buddha? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Okay, so you can really see that, and so you can also see the psychology behind this, because if we think, oh, the Buddha is up somewhere, I don't know, maybe Sambhogakaya is in the clouds somewhere. I don't know where the Buddha is some kind of amorphous something, and Shakyamuni Buddha attained realizations a long time ago, so he's off in another plane of existence. I can't, how do I relate to the objects of refuge? Yeah, if you have that kind of feeling, then again, it feels like, there's a big gap between you and the Buddhas. But if you see your teachers as embodying those qualities, then you can think, oh, wow, there are living beings on this planet who practice that and have attained the result. And, oh, I'm sitting in front of somebody who has done that. Or maybe they haven't completed the whole path, but they've completed something. They know something. That's the point. If you see them as a Buddha or an emanation of the Buddha or something like that, then it helps our practice because we take the teachings more seriously. Yeah? Okay. But this is where it gets really sticky in the West, because we say, oh, my teacher's a Buddha, therefore everything my teacher does is perfect. But my teacher, just forgot what they were saying, or my teacher confused this term and that term, or my teacher, they drink buttered tea and they, it's a proven fact that buttered tea is not good for you. That's a fact. How come they drink it? How can they be a Buddha and, not take care of their body? It's ridiculous. Okay? So we get really quite confused, so either then we start having doubts because our teacher does all these things that are not perfect, that are very ordinary, or we begin to, or we switch it and say, okay, everything my guru does is a holy action, is an action of the Buddha. Okay, so, you know, my teacher is having a very strong discussion with somebody else about a topic, you know, so that must be like Mahakala and Kalarupa having a discussion. Yeah, because they're both Buddhas. They're all Buddhas, yeah. Okay. So you think that's what's happening? Yeah. Or, you know, your teacher's just walking down the street and it's like, oh, that must be Tara. You know, she's walking down the street. And then you say, but Tara's seated on a lotus. How does she walk down the street? Yeah, she's on that lotus. So does she have artificial legs underneath the lotus and they're walking? Or, you know, or does the lotus bounce along on somebody else's back? Or, you know, how does she stand up? If she stands up and walks, what happens to the lotus? You know, she left it behind. Yeah, so then, yeah, my teacher's walking from here to point there. You know, they left their lotus behind. They arrive there. They don't have their lotus. So when they sit down to have lunch, there's no lotus. Then, oh dear, what do we do? You know, we tend to take things so literally. Yeah, and then we get really tangled up. Okay, really tangled up. Okay. So we view them, these conventional gurus, as embodiments of the ultimate guru, and we do it for purpose, which helps make our refuge objects appear more immediate and accessible. Okay, but they, at the same time, they say, don't put this on the debate ground, that all your gurus are the Buddha. Don't debate it, you know. And they also say that when you begin giving Dharma talks, other people may look at you and say, oh, they're an embodiment of the Buddha, but you don't think of yourself as a Buddha. Yeah, because if you start thinking of yourself as a Buddha, because everybody else is looking at you as a Buddha, then you're going to give yourself permission to do all sorts of nutty-putty things. Okay. Okay, our practice becomes more alive when we feel that we are near the Buddhas. You know, so that's also why we visualize them and they're looking at us. Yeah, they're with compassion, with acceptance. The Buddhas, we're not visualizing the Buddhas and they're there with their eyes closed or they're looking around the room, checking things out. Okay, our Dharma practice, it becomes more alive. The Tantras instruct us to see our conventional gurus as Buddhas, just as we practice seeing our environment as the deity's mandala and sentient beings around us as deities. So you think of them that way because that helps you not, you know, overcome the usual judgmental, critical mind. And it helps you overcome the mind that wants to compete and wants to be better, okay? Because you cultivate a different kind of view of ordinary sentient beings, okay? And, you know, if you see them as Buddhas, then you treat them with respect, because if you encountered a Buddha, you would treat a Buddha respectfully, yeah? So some practitioners make the mistake of confusing refuge in the guru with refuge in the personalities of our beloved tantric spiritual masters, who are human beings. In this case, When the conventional guru passes away, these disciples feel bereft of refuge, and over time, many of them may even drift away from the Dharma because they were so focused on the personality of the teacher, yeah, that when that person dies, and there's no longer that personality who, looks at you and smiles and knows your name, then you go, oh, I'm lost. Yeah. And if you feel that way, then you haven't really understood what it means to see the teacher as the Buddha. It's still so much grasping at inherent existence. Yeah, they're an inherent existent Buddha in front of me, and when they die, I have no refuge left. Huh? Yeah, okay. No, we need to be able to sustain our Dharma practice, because our conventional gurus are not going to be around forever. Yeah, and so when they pass away, to not have our own refuge shake. Okay. So many people may drift away from the Dharma if they, when their teachers die. And I saw this happen, in many cases. This is sad because their ultimate object of refuge, the ultimate guru, is always present, but they don't recognize it. Yeah? Their feelings of loss can be alleviated by continually bringing their attention back to the ultimate guru and imagining the ultimate guru manifesting as the central figure in their daily practice of guru yoga. And so in that way, you keep your relationship with your guru very alive, even if their body is no longer here. Yeah, because if you're here and your guru's in India, do you say, I have no guru? Yeah. You don't talk to them every day. You don't hear teachings from them every day, but you still feel connected to them. Yeah. So why, when they pass away, again, you still aren't with them every day and hearing teachings from them every day, but that, keep that connection the same way. Okay. In tantric practice, we take refuge at the beginning of each meditation session. To do this, we visualize in the space in front of us the Buddhas, Dharma, and Sangha surrounding the principal deity whose practice we will do. Okay, seeing all of them as the manifestations of the ultimate guru, the omniscient minds of all the Buddhas, we take refuge. Okay, and so I'll read some of these refuge verses from some of the tantric practices. From the Haruka Chakra Samvara practice, the refuge reads, at all times I take refuge in the Buddhas, Dharma, and Sangha of all three vehicles, in the dakinis of secret mantra yoga, in the heroes, heroines, and powerful goddesses, in the great beings, the mahasattvas, in bodhisattvas, and above all, at all times, I take refuge in my spiritual master, who embodies all of those qualities. So that's in Haruka Chakra Samvara. In Guhya Samaja, the refuge verse is, I take refuge continually in the Sugata Buddhas, in whose minds abide a mental play, the realization of emptiness, actualized in stages like the waxing of the stainless moon and infinite methods of pure compassion. I go for refuge continually to the holy Dharma, which, as the truth of the path, is the basis for total freedom from all misconceptions and the foundation for the excellence of all of the holy beings, meaning the Buddha's meditation deities and Aryas. and which, as the truth of cessation, is the very nature of emptiness, the single taste of all phenomena. I go for refuge to the host of Aryas who are masters of discipline, abide in the bodhisattva stages, such as the joyous one, and are endowed with the glory of bodhicitta, are incited by supreme compassion, and have become purely freed from the fetters abandoned on each stage as they progress. So each of those words, of those phrases, has some very deep meaning. So you can take a verse like that and use that as your Lamrim meditation in a session, okay? So you're really, you have to think, okay, yeah, like even the refuge and the Sangha, yeah. It's the truth of cessation, it's the very nature of emptiness. Now, what does that mean? How is true cessation the nature of emptiness? It's emptiness is the single taste of all phenomena. What does that mean? Okay, I go to the Aryas who are masters of discipline. What discipline? Oh, pratimoksha, bodhisattva, tantra discipline. Okay, they abide on the bodhisattva stages, such as the joyous ones. You remember the 10 bodhisattva bhumis. They're endowed with the glory of bodhicitta, so they have both aspiring and engaging bodhicitta. They're incited by supreme compassion. I like that, incited by supreme compassion. It's like constantly, compassion steering everything in them. They become purely freed from the fetters abandoned on each stage as their realization of emptiness becomes capable of eliminating subtler and subtler levels of obscurations. Okay, so, there's a lot to think about in these verses. Okay, so we finished one chapter. Hooray! So next week, we will start on chapter 2, the qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Okay, so there's a lot in what we went through tonight. Yeah, you gotta take it home and think about it and remember it. And when you take refuge, bring it to mind and, and really feel your connection with the three jewels, and that's so important because, life in samsara is bumpy. It is not going to be smooth. And, we're gonna fall and we're gonna trip and, climate change is gonna make us too hot or too cold or who knows what in the world's gonna happen. If we have very strong refuge, and strong bodhicitta, then that holds us steady as we go through all the ups and downs in samsara, because the ups and downs in samsara, it's the nature, this is the nature of samsara. Why are we so surprised? Yeah, so, when we have deep refuge, then we can handle all these things instead of just freaking out. Okay. So with that, we will dedicate. Okay. Hold on a minute.
May the spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path, and all spiritual friends who practice it, have long life. May I pacify completely all outer and inner senses. Grant such inspiration, I pray. May the lives of the venerable spiritual mentors be stable, and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of Love Song's teachings dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds always increase. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami.
Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. In the snowy mountain pure land, pure the source of good and happiness, powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig, may you stay until samsara ends. May the deeds of explaining and practicing the Dharma, done by groups supporting the teachings and their upholders, who spread the view of dependent arising and non-violent actions in the 10 directions, and especially at Sravasti Abbey in the west.